Hello all, Onigato in the garden again, and got a little assistance today. We've been getting a lot of rain the last couple of days, so over by the pots there have been some small trees that I've been meaning to cut down, and they fell over. Go figure. They were only in like surface loam, so it's not a big deal. But we'll start with the pots here for our weekly garden updates. Most of the pots look like they're doing okay. The beans are still kind of hit and miss. I think they're getting hit pretty hard by the snails again. I've cleared as many of as I can. Can't clear them all, can't clear them fast enough. Oh well. The celery, would you look at that snail? The celery is acting weird. Got a lot of leaf curl. It usually means some sort of a deficiency. So, hopefully not anything too serious, and hopefully it doesn't end up dying on me like that bok choy did. Because that was annoying. The cantaloupe is moving along, assuming that is a cantaloupe. Snail on the actual beans. Leave it be. Leave it be. Okay, and we've been getting a lot of rain again, so that's actually useful and kind of a problem at the same time. So the potato, it likes the cool weather. It does not like being flooded out. That is a problem. The pot does have drainage at the bottom, not a lot, unfortunately. I don't even want to look in the compost thing. It's probably a mess. Alright, not sure if I showed you guys this last week, but I've got the cucumbers up on a tomato cage. So that should help. Unfortunately, the beans are getting pretty badly ravaged by the local snails, but I do see some beans in there. I am deliberately not harvesting those. I want to get as many seeds as I possibly can. But while I'm standing here, I may as well show you this. So, what you see here is the result of my father-in-law coming down last Monday after I'd made my recording, and he did a little trimming on one of the pecan trees that we have here. It was lying on our power lines and was causing havoc, and the local power authority hadn't come out yet, and it had been over 6 weeks. It had probably been closer to 2 months. So he came out with a little extended length chainsaw and cleared a lot of it off. So yeah, we now have a pile, and a fairly good sized one at that. As the leaves decompose, it'll turn into a nice mulch, but I need a wood chipper badly to deal with all the other stuff that's in there. But back to the garden. So these beans here aren't doing spectacularly. I think I can harvest a couple of those for seeds. Tomatoes. Ooh, well, that's surprising. Was not expecting to see that. This bell pepper has, I don't know if you can see them properly, a couple of flowers starting. So hopefully something comes from that. These two tomatoes over here, here and here, I'm seeing new growth. I'm not believing in new growth. It's a mess back here. And because we've been getting so much rain, it either has been flooding or I haven't been watering and it goes dry because it's been raining so much. So it's kind of hard to keep up on this particular patch. But, you know, you do what you do. Alright, and now to the front beds. This cantaloupe is doing fairly well, except for this one section is giving me all sorts of leaf curl and wilt. It's not all of the new growth because, well, same plant. It's everywhere. And you can see the leaf growth over here, perfectly normal. And the leaf growth down here, perfectly normal. Turn that back over. So, don't know what's going on with that one section of the cantaloupe. It's a little weird, but whatever. Haven't seen anything come up of the fruit sets yet, but that's okay. The chives and green onions. Chives are doing okay, green onions are not doing as well. Some of that's going to be transplant shock. Some of that's going to be, well, I think the snails are getting them. But, you know, whatever. The tomato is still tomatoing on. More flowers. And still no sign of any fruits. No fruit sets. Driving me crazy, but what you gonna do? I think the reason why the tomato is misbehaving like that is because at its core, the soil that's still around its roots is nothing but. Be nice to that. Be gentle. It's nothing but the peat moss. So I've supplemented the soil a little bit with surface feedings of granular fertilizers, specifically ones high in potassium and phosphorus that are designed to promote fruiting and flowering. Well, flowering and then fruiting. But haven't seen anything come up of it yet. And it's been the better part of 2 months since I put the first ones down. But the mustard greens are doing okay. We've harvested twice off of them, and it looks like they're coming up just about ready for a third. These lettuces here, I've got two, kind of a third there, not doing very well. Fourth, fifth, they're kind of mixed in. Those lettuces are doing okay. The wife made a salad yesterday, so that's a head of romaine. And there's actually one over in the other bed. We'll get over there in a minute. Just, you know, cleared the soil out a little bit and heard it was raining. Cleared the soil out a little bit and just plopped them into it. This tomato cage, don't know if you can tell, if you can see it, here we are, has been reinforced. So, had some twine from the mother-in-law, and now if this tomato cage wants to fall over, it has to pull over one of 3 different blocks. Those are very heavy. It's not going anywhere. And it hasn't gone anywhere in the better part of a week. I don't think it's moved in more than a couple of centimeters at any given time. The Tabasco is Tabascoing on. The small section down here, I harvested a bunch of them off when they had gone ripe, and it looks like it's fruiting down there again. Up here, they're ripening up nicely. The sunflowers are actually starting to become slightly problematic because they are in the phase of their growth cycle where they don't like to stay upright, or at least not as much. They are leaning on this cage here, and that's causing this cage to lean. Hasn't caused it to collapse yet, but it is causing it to lean, and it's bending the wires. So I think I want to be bricking those twine and bricking that as well. But you can see all of the sunflowers are doing something, even if it's well, collapsing in a heap almost. This bell pepper, if you can see them, does not want to focus. But I've got several starts in various places, and I've actually got more than a few open flowers. What is that? That looks like a cocoon. I don't know what it is, but it's exploded all over my fingers. So this bell pepper now is finally getting around to producing. And that is good. Don't play with that. Don't play with the cage. cut a snail. There we go. Snail's dealt with. Okay, and there is the other head of romaine. Don't play with that. Leave that alone. That's a sunflower. That's very sensitive to being broken, especially in this phase of its life cycle. So there's the other romaine head. Just, again, plop down into the ground. And one last thing of interest. Also last Monday, when the father-in-law cut down that other section, I asked him to leave the tool here, and that is the dead branch that came up that way and then towards the house itself. So it has been removed. It's a fairly clean cut. Looks pretty nice. You can see there is some sap moving up through it, but the majority of it was just dead wood. There was actually some termite damage in there too, so that was not very good. As for what is our next move, turns out the raised beds are going to be expensive. Well, we knew that, so we're not doing those for a little while. What we are going to do is, in the next couple of weeks, probably not this week just because it is so very wet, what happened is Katie bought some flower seeds, and we're going to go ahead and cut I don't know if you can see it properly from here, but basically cut a straight line from this point, right where my toes are, straight to the curb, and do that on both sides. Pull all the grass out, and basically put in a small verge or edging down there. I've got plenty of the brick in the back and the scalloped blocks, so should be able to do that all the way down to the end of the length. Then just plant flowers, pretty flowers, and that will be that. But thanks all for coming along, and I will talk to you later. Bye.